Hello. I wanted to make a video on how I pull handles. I'm starting with 800 grams of clay fresh from the bag. Consistency is really important because you're going to do the process over and over again to get it right. And so if you start out from the same point, it makes the rest of the process more consistent. I'm going to be pulling the clay long enough to create about half a dozen stumps, which I'm then going to attach to the cups, and then I'm going to pull those again from the cups. I'm going to make these all the same size so that the process is repeatable. Each time I attach these to a cup, I'm going to get the same experience. I'm going to have to pull them in the same way each time to get the same result. I'm going to score the clay, but only just enough that I don't leave too much of a mess around the join that I then have to tidy up. I want to create a lip on the end of the stump to push into the cup. I just want to apply a small amount of slip. Too much and it's too messy. And I'm going to smooth around the edges just to make sure it's properly attached. Obviously, you want it quite well attached. I also like to clean up the cup before I pull the handle. It's much easier. You can get around every side of the stump. You've got to make sure your hands are wet, and you want to pull from each side. So when we talk about pulling, what we really mean is just gently touching the clay. You're not actually pulling it, because you definitely just pull it off the cup. You don't want to let it get too long. Okay, and I use my thumb to shape the top of the handle. So I haven't really mentioned how dry the cup is, and that's really important because if it's too damp, it's too flexible and you're going to distort the shape. So it needs to be really quite dry, and the way I tell if it's dry enough is if you pick the cup up and you give it a gentle squeeze. If there's any movement at all, any give at all, then it's not dry enough. It needs to be fairly solid and probably drier than you think. And that's where the damp box comes in, which we'll talk about more at the end. I want to make sure it's vertical. and then I push down both sides. Whatever you do one side, you want to do from the other. Keep it even. Just put it out a little bit. That's the bit that makes it from a sad looking handle into a happy looking handle. Is that too big? I think it is. So this is how I take it off again. So this needs to be a bit wet. There we go. Then you need to put it again, tidy it up. I don't score the bottom attachment point. I just haven't found it necessary, and it's just one more thing that needs cleaning up after. And then for this bit, you want to make sure your hands are clean and dry. It's just a little bit smaller, more in proportion with the rest of the cup. And then it's into the damp box for 3 or 4 days so that the moisture levels between the handle and the cup can even out. After 3 or 4 days, I take them out, put them onto the shelf with the handles facing each other, and that just helps slow down the drying process just a tiny bit more.